Hey everyone! Today I want to share a really simple, beautiful story with you. It's all about friendship, something we all know, right? But we're going to look at it in a special way, through the games that friends play on two very different playgrounds.
Okay, so think of this as a little adventure we're going on together. We're going to follow two friends and watch how their friendship grows and changes, all by looking at the games they love to play. Sound good? Let's go.
And our story starts just like all the best ones do. Once upon a time, there were two friends, the Wanderer and Tom. And their whole big story begins in a very small, very cozy place.
So, let's visit their very first playground. We'll call it the small boards game. And it was just the perfect little spot for them to have some fun and say quick, friendly hellos to each other.
So how big was this playground? Well, it had exactly 64 squares. That's it. A nice, neat little world, kind of like a chessboard, where they knew every single corner and could always find one another. Now this is where it gets really interesting. It's about how they talked in this game. So the Wanderer would make a move and say, check. But in their little world, that didn't mean, ha, I'm about to win. Nope. It meant something way sweeter. It was like saying, hey, I see you. I'm paying attention to you. And then Tom might say, check, right back, almost like saying, hey, I'm paying attention to you too. But the best part was when they made a double check. That was like a huge, happy surprise, a secret high five where they were both totally focused on each other at the exact same time. So cool.
So, on this small playground, you could see their friendship in two really wonderful ways. First, there was love. You know, they played kindly, they helped each other out. But there was also rebellion, that little spark of fun, when one of them would try a totally new move just to make the other one laugh with surprise. It was this perfect mix of being caring and being playful.
But then, their world got much bigger. They found a new place, the Big Boards Adventure. And this was a whole new world, full of amazing choices and even bigger surprises.
So remember their first little playground with only 64 squares? Well, get this. Their new playground had 361 squares. Can you even imagine? It was this huge open space with so much more room to explore and create things together. And this is how their friendship got to grow even more. On this giant board, every little stone they put down wasn't just a move in a game anymore. No, it was like a new idea. It was a thought they were sharing, building something brand new together, right from the start. And you know those two feelings, love and rebellion? Well, they grew right along with the board. Their love was now about building these beautiful shapes and patterns together, side by side. And their rebellion? Well, that was all about creating these surprising new paths across the board, showing each other new ways to see their awesome world. So you see, these were never really just games, were they? They were conversations. This is a story about feelings and about how these two different playgrounds helped our friends talk to each other without even needing to use a single word. Think about it like this. On the small board, their game was like shouting, I see you, let's play, across the yard. It was full of these quick chats and fun little surprises. But on the big board, that conversation was slower and it was deeper. It was all about watching something beautiful grow over time, about patiently building new things together, one piece at a time.
So, after all their adventures on both the small and the big playgrounds, what's the big takeaway? What did the Wanderer and Tom learn? Well, their story shows us friendship's biggest lesson, a really simple, wonderful truth that their games can teach all of us. It really just comes down to three simple things. First, step one, say, I see you, which just means really listen and pay attention to your friends. Then, step two, build things together. This could be anything, a project, a dream, or just a good time. And finally, step three is to always try new surprises. You know, keep things fun and exciting for each other. And that's the beautiful story of the Wanderer and Tom. And it kind of leaves us with a question to think about for ourselves. Whether it's on a big playground or a small one, a video game or a board game, what games help your friendships grow? All right, I've got a wild one for you today. We're going to connect a really strange numerical pattern in chess to two of the most profound thinkers of the 20th century. Now, I know that sounds like a massive stretch, but just stick with me. I promise. By the end of this, you'll see how a simple little equation can unlock a powerful new way to think about your own life. So, it all starts with a simple question about a very specific equation.
Is what you're about to see just a random string of numbers, or is there something way deeper going on here? Okay, here it is. 16 plus 16 plus 2 equals 34. I mean, simple math, right? But what if this equation isn't just about numbers? What if it's actually a hidden metaphor for strategy, for conflict, and even resolution?
And boom! In the world of chess, this equation lines up perfectly with a devastating attack. Check, check, and a double check. Now, if you're a player, you know a double check is a simultaneous two-pronged threat, and it is absolutely one of the most decisive game-ending moves you can make.
So let's break this down. Think of the two 16s as two balanced forces, right? Like the opposing armies in a chess match. That plus 2, that's the extra pressure. It's the transformative strike that suddenly puts the king in incredible danger. And it all adds up to 34, which, get this, can be seen as the union of two forces, 17 plus 17. It's a perfect metaphor for two pieces working together to create that deadly double check. You see, this isn't just a coincidence, it's what you might call a symbolic resonance.
So it's pretty cool to find this kind of deep, symbolic meaning hidden in the rules of a game. But it kind of begs a much, much bigger question, doesn't it? How do we navigate the bigger, more chaotic game of life itself? A game that doesn't seem to have any clear rules at all.
Well, to answer that, we're going to turn to two absolute titans from very different fields, the philosopher Albert Camus and the psychologist Carl Jung. They each offer a distinct, yet, as you'll see, a surprisingly similar roadmap for this journey.
So on one hand, Camus gives us the absurd hero. This is the person who finds freedom by confronting a meaningless, indifferent universe head-on. And then you've got Jung, who gives us the integrated self, the person who achieves wholeness by confronting the hidden world of their own unconscious mind. See that? Two different battlegrounds, but one shared goal: authenticity.
For Camus, the heart of the human condition was what he called the absurd. And what is that? It's this fundamental, unavoidable conflict between our desperate, human search for meaning and purpose and the cold, silent, meaningless universe that just doesn't offer any. And for him, the goal isn't to solve this paradox, it's to live inside it, to embrace it with passion, revolt, and freedom.
Now, for Jung, the path to a meaningful life was entirely internal. He called it individuation. And this is the lifelong process of making the unconscious conscious. It's all about turning inward to confront our shadow self. You know, all the parts of us we repress or deny, and integrating all these scattered pieces to finally become a whole, complete person.
And this is where it all snaps together. Just look at this. Camus' core conflict is external. It's us against the universe. Jung's is internal, our conscious mind versus our unconscious. But look at the goal: authentic living, wholeness. It's the same thing. And the method? Embrace the contradiction, face the shadow. It's the same strategy. Embrace the conflict.
So here's the crucial takeaway. Both Camus and Jung saw true freedom not in finding some simple, comforting answer, but in the courageous act of confronting life's built-in conflicts. It doesn't matter if it's the absurdity of the cosmos or the shadows of your own psyche. The path forward is through it, not around it.
You know, this shared mindset can really be described as a spirit of rebellion. It's a powerful critique of any system, any ideology that tries to sell you on easy answers.
This quote from Camus just hits the nail on the head. He rejected any system that offered these neat, tidy, transcendent answers to life's biggest questions. Why? Because for him, those easy answers were just a form of escapism, a way to avoid the real work.
He was really pushing back against any idea that tried to paper over the cracks in our reality. He challenged any system that denied the absurdity of our existence, any comforting notion of a universal, guiding reason, any philosophy that tried to strip us of our freedom and responsibility, and any dogma that claimed to have all the answers.
So ultimately, what Camus was really arguing for is a kind of philosophical integrity. It's about having the raw courage to look at the world and to look at yourself honestly, to face uncomfortable, ambiguous truths without immediately running for the safety of a comforting illusion.
Okay, so how do we tie all this together? We've gone from chess symbolism all the way to existential philosophy. What's the actual takeaway for us right now?
Well, here's a simple three-part framework for a more authentic life. First, find symbolic resonance. Just like with the chess equation, look for the deeper patterns and meaningful connections in the world all around you. Second, confront your inner contradictions. Do that inner work that Jung talked about. Integrate all the parts of yourself, especially the tough ones.
And third, rebel against easy answers. Embrace the struggle, embrace complexity, and find your freedom right there in the fight. Which brings us to one final, powerful question. We started this whole journey by finding deep meaning in the rules of a game. But if life is the ultimate game, and it's one that comes without a clear rulebook, then the only thing that really matters is this: how will you choose to play?
Hey, did you know there's something super secret and amazing happening inside of you right this very second? It's true. We're going to find out all about this incredible secret game that's being played. Come here a little closer, because this is a really, really good one. You ready?
Okay, here it is. There is a secret game happening inside your body this whole time. And guess what? You're the game board. How cool is that?
Now, you can't have a game without players, right? Well, in this game, there are 3 super important teams, and they all work together to help you grow up big and strong. They've actually been playing this game since you were a tiny little baby. All right, it's time to meet the very first player on the team. Let's find out what its special job is.
Okay, so player number 1 is called the ectoderm. I know, it's a big word, but just think of it as the outside team. Its whole job is to build your skin, the part you can touch, and your amazing, super smart brain that helps you have awesome ideas.
And get this, when the ectoderm is all done building the outside parts, it shouts out, check! Kind of like in a game of chess. It's letting everyone know, hey, the outside is built and ready to go.
Awesome. So the outside is all taken care of. Now, let's meet the second player on this amazing team and see what its special move is.
Say hello to the mesoderm. This is the middle team. It's the one that builds all the parts inside that help you move around, like your super strong muscles for running and your tough bones. Oh, and it also makes the blood that zips all over your body, delivering goodies.
And I bet you can guess what happens next. When the mesoderm is done building all your muscles and bones, it also calls out, check. Now it's saying, the middle part is all built and ready. So now we've heard from 2 of the teams.
So we've got 1 check from our outside team and a 2nd check from our middle team. When they both call out like that, it means it's time for them to work together. This is where the real magic happens. It's team-up time. So when the outside team and the middle team both say check, boom, they create a double check. It's like a secret code that means they can connect. Your brain can now tell your muscles to move so you can run and jump, and your skin is there to protect those muscles while you play. See? They have to work together.
But hold on a second. The team isn't quite complete. There's one more really important player that has to join the game.
Let's meet the endoderm. This is the deep down inside team, and its job is super, super important. It builds things way inside, like your tummy that gets all the energy from your food, and your lungs that help you breathe in all that fresh air.
You know, the endoderm is kind of like the team captain. It takes the fuel from your tummy and the air from your lungs and shares it with the other 2 teams. I mean, without the endoderm, the brain couldn't think and the muscles couldn't even move. It's the player that makes sure everyone works together perfectly.
So you see, to win this big game of growing up strong and healthy, all 3 players need each other. The outside team, the middle team, and the deep inside team. They all have to work together just right.
So let's just remember how they talk to each other. First, the outside team calls check. Then the middle team calls check. And that creates the double check, which lets them team up so you can move and play. And all the while, the inside team is giving them the power to do it all. It's a perfect 3-player team that builds you.
And that's the big secret. This amazing game of teamwork with the outside, middle, and inside players all helping each other out. That's how your body built you from the very beginning, and it's how it keeps you growing strong every single day.
So the next time you're running around or laughing really hard or eating your favorite snack, just remember that secret game going on inside. Pretty amazing, right? And hey, here's something to think about. What other incredible teams do you think are working inside you right this minute?
You ever wonder if the universe has a favorite pattern? You know, like a fundamental rhythm of connection and disconnection, of flow and blockage that just keeps showing up everywhere, from the deepest parts of our own bodies all the way to the most abstract games we play. Well, it turns out there might be. It's a pattern that connects our biology to our logic, and figuring it out all starts with a single question.
Yeah, I know. It sounds like the start of a really weird joke, right? Chronic pain, how our cells communicate in a board game. At first glance, what could they possibly have in common? But stick with me, because as we're about to see, they're all just different ways of telling the same, really profound story. So, to get to the bottom of this, we're going to start by looking inward. Way, way inward. Deep inside our own bodies, there's this incredible system that for centuries science pretty much ignored, but it might just be the key to understanding this whole pattern. Let me introduce you to fascia. The easiest way to think about it is like the body's own internal shrink wrap, or maybe a biological fabric that literally holds you together. It's this continuous web of tissue. It's super strong but also flexible, and it wraps around and connects every single thing inside of you. Now, what's wild is the history here. For hundreds of years, when anatomists were doing dissections, they saw fascia as just gunk, annoying packing material that they had to cut away to get to the important stuff, like muscles and organs. But oh man, that view is changing, and it is changing fast. And here is the big deal. Far from being useless packing material, fascia is actually a massive communication network. Researchers now think it has something like 250 million nerve endings. To put that in perspective, that's as many as your skin, maybe even more. It's constantly talking to your brain, sending information about where your body is, how it feels, and if it's in pain. But here's the thing. Just like any complex network, it can run into problems. When everything is working right, the layers of fascia just glide smoothly over each other. But sometimes, things get stuck. The whole system gets jammed up. So, what causes this kind of blockage? Well, it can happen for a bunch of reasons. An injury, for sure, but also just not moving enough or having chronic inflammation. Even stress can do it. When your body goes into that fight or flight mode, it can cause your fascia to tighten up and get stiff. This is a huge reason behind things like chronic lower back pain or that really deep soreness you feel after a tough workout. Okay, so we've seen how this idea of flow and blockage works on a big scale in our body's tissue network. But the pattern doesn't stop there. So now let's zoom in, like way, way in, and see how the exact same thing plays out at the level of a single cell. This is Dr. Carl Lewis. He's a biomedical engineer, and he has this amazing way of looking at the body. He doesn't just see it as, bones and muscle. He sees it as this incredible information processor, a dynamic system of signals going in and out, where every single movement, every bit of pressure is a message in a constant conversation between our cells. His work is part of this huge research project called ForceNet. And the core question they're trying to answer is pretty mind-blowing. How do our cells physically feel the world? How do they sense forces like pressure or a good stretch? And how do they turn that feeling into action? And get this, here's a little fun fact that kind of connects everything. Dr. Lewis isn't just a brilliant engineer studying the body's mechanics from the outside. He's also a certified yoga teacher who understands the body's flow from a completely different, much more ancient point of view. Now, the official scientific name for this cellular sense of touch is Mechanotransduction. Yeah, I know, it's a mouthful, but the idea is actually pretty simple. It's just the process of turning physical force into a language that your cells can actually understand and respond to. And here's a perfect example of how it works. When you exercise, you put force on your bones. Specialized cells in your bones, called osteocytes, act like tiny little sensors. They feel that force, and in response, they release this wave of chemical signals that tell the body, hey, we need to keep our bones strong, maybe even build them up. That right there is cellular communication. That is biological flow in action. Okay, so we've seen this pattern of flow and blockage in our tissues and in our cells. Pretty cool, right? But now, let's pull back and actually give this pattern a name.
Because what if this isn't just a neat coincidence? What if this whole duality, this idea of clear communication versus a total system failure, is a fundamental principle that goes way beyond just biology?
To really get it, we can borrow two powerful concepts. On one side, you have phasia. It comes from the Greek word for to speak, and it's all about a state of clear, easy flow and communication. And on the other side, you've got aphasia, which literally means without speech. This represents blockage, breakdown, a total rupture in the system. So when you think with these new terms, everything starts to click. Healthy fascia, where everything's gliding smoothly, and clear signals between cells, those are perfect physical examples of fascia. They are systems that are totally in a state of flow. And on the flip side, when that fascia gets all stuck and stiff, or when the communication between cells breaks down, that's a physical manifestation of aphasia. It is a biological model of blockage.
All right, this is where things get really interesting. We started in the body, we went down to the cell, and we connected it to this big philosophical idea. But what if this pattern of phasia and aphasia, of flow and blockage, shows up in systems that are even more abstract?
To see just how deep this pattern runs, let's look at this simple formula: 3 + 3 + 2. Now, this isn't really about the math itself. It's more like a symbolic recipe for how different parts of a system can come together to create something that's stable and whole. Think of the two 3s as two opposing forces, and the 2 as the thing that resolves the tension between them. And when they all combine, what do you get? 8. And in a lot of symbolic systems, the number 8 represents balance and perfect structure. And that number 8 shows up in a place you would never expect.
So what else is defined by the number 8? The knight in chess. Its weird L-shaped move gives it exactly 8 possible squares to jump to from the center of the board. Its movement isn't a straight line. It's this perfect embodiment of that same logical pattern, tension and resolution, coming together to create a stable, powerful whole.
Which brings us right back to where we started. From the very tissues that hold us together, to the signals our cells are constantly sending, all the way to the logic baked into our most ancient games, are we just seeing different dialects of the same fundamental language? Our universal language of phasia and aphasia, of flow and blockage, that truly shapes our world?